Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at the top 10 most dangerous wrestling moves. For this list, we're going to be ranking maneuvers in professional wrestling that could cause a lot of physical damage should they be performed incorrectly. Know any we missed? Let us know in those comments below. Number 10. Tiger Driver 91. Heads up, like literally, because if there's going to be one consistent thread running throughout this list, it's the risk wrestlers put on their heads, necks, and shoulders. It's also what makes the Tiger Driver 91 so dangerous, because it directly targets these areas with a vicious spike. Japanese wrestling legend Mitsuharu Misawa perfected this variation on a traditional but still dangerous Tiger Driver by adding the exclamation point to a move that's already a nightmare version of Triple H's pedigree. From the double underhook to the final squirming impact on the canvas, Misawa's Tiger Driver 91 was no joke. Number 9. Steiner Screwdriver. The vertical suplex is one of the most common moves in pro wrestling, but what if that suplex was modified with a sudden and dangerous drop? This is the basis behind the Steiner Screwdriver, a finisher Scott Steiner had developed back before his Big Papa Pump days. It showcased Steiner's strength as he held his opponents vertically in the air before bringing him down swiftly in a vicious tombstone piledriver motion. The speed with which this move is performed makes it prone to error, although to be fair, Steiner always seemed to execute this finisher with lightning-quick precision. However, this doesn't make the Steiner Screwdriver any less dangerous. Number 8. Doomsday Device. It's known as one of the wrestling finishers that no one wanted to take, but that didn't stop countless tag teams from falling before the might that was the Doomsday Device. This is because this finisher belonged to one of the most dominant tag teams of all time, the Road Warriors, aka the Legion of Doom. It's not the most technical of maneuvers, but it doesn't give whoever's taking it much control during their descent. This is because they're placed on the shoulders of the opposing team before the other member takes them down with a flying clothesline. It sure does look cool though, doesn't it? Number 7. Canadian Destroyer. Speaking of moves that look cool, is there any maneuver that excites the crowd quite like a Canadian Destroyer? It's an outlier on this list, in that it's usually performed safely, but there's always this element of danger involved since it requires so much cooperation. The traditional Canadian Destroyer is a combination sunset flip into a modified piledriver, whereby both wrestlers need to make sure their timing is on and that enough air is achieved to make the move look good. Thankfully, this is normally the case, but we can't help but hold our breath every time. Number 6. Package Piledriver. Some moves look dangerous, but are really super safe. Others look safe, but are actually terribly risky. Our next entry looks dangerous because it is dangerous. It's the Package Piledriver, developed by Aja Kong and popularized by Kevin Owens during his indie days as Kevin Steen. The move starts off like a pedigree and almost looks like a muscle buster when it's in midair, as Steen holds onto his opponents behind the knees in a double underhook position. Then he brings them down in a squished piledriver motion, and the results frankly look devastating. The risk to the head and neck is obviously high, and this is probably one of the reasons why Owens took the pop-up powerbomb in WWE. Number 5. Burning Hammer. The word protected is often used in the wrestling industry to describe a finisher that almost always leads to a pinfall victory. Kenny Omega's One-Winged Angel is a great example of this, as is our next entry, Kenta Kobashi's Burning Hammer. The move was only used 7 times by Kobashi and always finished off his opponents. This is why it was so surprising to see the Brian Kendrick bust out the Burning Hammer in the 2016 WWE Cruiserweight Classic. Not only because it's supremely dangerous, but because Kendrick's opponent, Kota Ibushi, actually kicked out. Imagine Nikki Bella's rack attack finisher, only turn the victim upside down and drop him on their head. Yeah, it's as scary as it sounds. Number 4. Vertebreaker. The Vertebreaker is yet another modified piledriver that utilizes a double underhook, but make no mistake, this finisher is anything but ordinary. It can't be performed on everyone because it requires so much strength and cooperation, but it was popularized by Shane Helms during his Cruiserweight days, and it still looks awesome today. The fact that the Vertebreaker brings the opponent upside down back to back with the person performing the move requires a lot of trust while the end results could prove disastrous if this doesn't occur. However, we just can't help but raise our fists and yell every time Helms and his opponents pulled off the Vertebreaker in style. Number 3. Gonzo Bomb. We know what you guys may be saying. How is a powerbomb so high up on this list? It's basically a transitional move at this point. Trust us when we tell you that you've never seen a powerbomb quite like this one. The Gonzo Bomb was made infamous by Toshiaki Kawada during a match with the aforementioned Misawa, when a countered head scissors attempt turned into a sickening, free-falling powerbomb. It's a perfect storm of sorts, where the wrestler taking it receives a few seconds to question their choices before being mercilessly dropped on their head, neck, and shoulders with authority. Number 2. Diving Headbutt. The professional wrestling world of today is much more concerned with the effects of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, aka CTE. This wasn't always the case, however, as evidenced by the multiple wrestlers that have used the diving headbutt over the years. From the originator Harley Race to the Dynamite Kid and Bryan Danielson, wrestlers just can't help launching themselves through space headfirst down to the canvas. The diving headbutt is dangerous because there's no easy way out. It causes damage whether you hit or miss. This is why the move has been criticized as being extremely dangerous for both short-term and long-term health, and why you don't really see it as often as you used to back in the day. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Styles Clash. Pro wrestlers are trained professionals who know how to take bumps and falls as safely as possible while on the job. The issue with the Styles Clash is that it goes against all of those instincts by requiring the person taking it to stick their head out as opposed to tucking it in. The finisher popularized by AJ Styles actually isn't too dangerous beyond this, but that hasn't stopped numerous wrestlers from suffering horrendous injuries while taking the move. Yoshitatsu broke multiple bones in his neck after tucking his chin, while British wrestler Lionheart almost had his career ended after taking the move. It's scary, frightening, and yes, dangerous stuff. Do not try this at home. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.